All right. How many of you have ever been camping? Raise your hands. That is a good number. I like it. How many of you enjoy doing that? I like it. Better number. How many of you think that the forests are in trouble? Still a good number. But if you didn't raise your hand, you're wrong. Here's a fact. 80% of the world's forests have been destroyed. 80%. That means only 20% are left. Original forests. The average tree takes, 60 years to grow. So, alright. 32% of that 80% comes from commercial farming. How many of you are farmers? Okay, I'm not dissing farming or anything, but 32% of our forests are gone, but we didn't really have that much in Iowa to begin with. We were mainly savanna land. It's out west, like in Oregon, Washington, Montana. Those are the ones. So, let's say the average tree takes around 60 years to grow, 90 years to fully mature. So, let's say your grandpa cuts down a tree at age 20. He plants one in its place like he's supposed to. Everyone tells him to plant a tree in its place when he cuts one down. Then, he has your father when he's 30, and your father has you when grandpa's 50. So, at this point, you are 0 years old and your grandpa's 50. So, remember that tree? It's now 30 years old, a third of the way to being fully mature. Now, assuming your grandpa dies at age 90, his tree will only be 60 years old then. It's just beginning to get there. So you're going to be age 60. Now, assuming your grandpa was 20 in 1960, the tree will take until 2050 to mature. 2050. How many of you are looking forward to the year 2050? How many of you think our iPods aren't even going to be iPods. They're just going to be like little glass screens that you can fold down into nothingness, store in your sock, and carry around with you. That's going to be awesome. Now, again, 2050. Planted in 1960. That tree's gone through a lot. That's only one tree. Now, multiply that by however many trees are cut down per se on this slide. That is a pretty large amount of tree. It's called clear cutting. Y'all know about it? Well, let me tell you about it. Clear cutting is when, let's say this whole desk is a forest. Some surveyors set out a part about yay by yay by yay by yay. And then they go in there with chainsaws, logging equipment, hauling their trucks up the service roads, using improved jig boom haulers to get the trees up the hills. I mean, come on. These are trees we're talking about here. Okay. How many of you have ever seen the show Axemen? It's a history show. How many of you have ever seen it? Okay. That's just a glimpse. And they're just doing this on camera. They're exaggerating all this. That's not even commercial industry. Commercial industry is tearing up our forests. So yeah, thousands of trees are felled every day in just a few acres. 10 acres, clear cut. That's smaller than an average Iowa farm, and yet it will take 3 more generations just to grow back. That's only if trees are planted on a 1-to-1 ratio. Cut one down, put one in its place. That almost never happens. Down in the rainforest, you got people hacking down trees, making expensive furniture, and digging up gold. And what are they doing? They're not planting anything in its place. So, that's going to take even longer just to fill back in. Now, what is that all going towards? Not to healthy food to feed the world. How many of you farmers can tell the difference between the bottom one and the top one? Figured you would. Now, if you're not farmers, you might say, oh, the top one's popcorn. No, the bottom one is sweet corn, corn on the cob, stuff that you eat, stuff that you put in cans. Oh yeah, only corn I'll ever eat. Top one goes with the cow. Yeah, field corn. That's what 99% of our farmland is. 99% of our cornfields are field corn. How many of you think corn is a vegetable? Good, because I think so too. How many of you think maltodextrin is a vegetable? It's made from corn. How many of you have ever looked down on your candy wrapper and seen maltodextrin and had no idea what it was? It's a corn product, and it's in quite a bit of our food. Okay, let's say you're walking to a grocery store. Okay, walking into the grocery store, look in. In all reality, you look into the produce section, you see corn. You look in the canned food section, you see corn. Where else? Everywhere else. Chips, it's in it. Okay, I want some people to raise their hand and name products they think corn's in it. Will Dix. Gum. It's in gum. Maltodextrin. You. Gasoline. It's in ethanol. Chips. It's in chips. It's corn flour. Of course it is in canned corn. Yes. Luke Strummer, win back. Cereal. Yeah. Corn flour again. Ever heard of corn flakes? Sam Potter. Bread. Yeah. Maltodextrin. Again, red protein. Candy. Xanthan gum. That's in bread. That's also in gum. That's also in candy bars. Okay. So, let's see. It even goes into plastic sometimes. Alright. Think of a McDonald's Big Mac. Oh yeah, how many of you ever had a Big Mac? Good stuff. When you eat that burger, you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm getting everything. I got the sauce, I got the meat, I got my vegetables, I even got my grains. Yeah. Okay. That nice juicy meat in the burger? It's corn. Guess what we feed our cattle? Mushed up corn. They're not even eating it in a nice green pasture. Not all of them, anyway. I'm sure some of them here in Iowa are just grazing as naturally as can be. Chewing cud. But no, most of them that go to the Big Macs are hooked up in feeding grids. Corn. Corn. Yeah, delicious. Okay. They're just tucking in on corn and more corn. That bun, it's got high fructose corn syrup in it. The Big Mac sauce, xanthan gum, corn syrup, hydrolyzed corn. The only not corn things, it seems, are vegetables and cheese. Guess what? That cheese has cornstarch in it. Okay, so now that you know most of your diet is bogus, then what now? What does this have to do with the forest? Long-term story, case in point. Evidence shows that our generation may be the first generation with a shorter life expectancy than their parents. Why? Because one, we are losing trees to factories, global warming, cornfields, you name it. That means less oxygen-dense environment. Because, trees turn CO2, which we have a lot of, into oxygen, which we now have a lot of because of trees. Two, we are being fed on a sterile, processed, prepared diet. It's like pet food. We all know what goes into that. Put it in factories, give it in the bowl, here, Fido. And we think, oh, we have perfect freedom. Not really. It's the factories. They are feeding us corn. And three, we are cutting down on our planet's CO2 management source as we dump our stuff into the air, unheard of. I mean, CO2 levels. Here's where they were. Alright, this marker is where they were way back when, with the dinosaurs in their swamps. I can't even reach how high it is now. It's probably like all the way up to the ceiling. Now, what do you think? What can you do to help? How many of you noticed like a white sheet on Prescott's corkboard if you're on grade team? I put that there. That is my Save the Forest Nature Hike sign up. Remember those markers I handed out? Writing trees on hand. Good. Now, that nature hike, that's going to happen this Saturday. Now, it's going to happen 1 to 1:30, half hour out of your time. My presentation's probably taking longer than that hike will. Cedar Bend Park. Ever been there? Know it? Good. Now, you can sign up in his room, or if you don't really want to hike it down there, or you're on team flight and you're scared of him, then you can go off into the lunchroom in that little island and sign up there. I will be there. Only 50 cents. You can pay for 2 quarters. Not a lot you can buy in today's economy with 2 quarters. You can, even if you don't want to hike, even if you do not want to hike, you do not want to go out in the nature and get bitten by a deer for no reason. All you have to do is draw a tree on your hand. So, before I'm done, any questions? You in the back.